Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two cousins who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Monica.
And, it's been a morning already.
A morning for you. A whole day for me.
Yeah, so, for me, I post for the Death and Aliens Instagram. I post it before I go to bed at night so that it'll be there during the daytime for most of our listeners, which is in America, because I'm not in America. And so usually it gets posted at like 8 or 9 a.m., which is not really the best like time for Instagram traffic, whatever the F that means. But I'm not staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning just to post a damn Instagram post. And I know that you can download one of those apps that like lets you queue posts, but like that seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
So Monica got a notification that I tagged her in an Instagram post at 1 o'clock p.m., which would have been 1 o'clock a.m. my time. So she already knew before I even woke up this morning that it was going to be interesting. Because I'm 20. Oh, I almost said I was 29. Not yet. I'm 28 years old and suffer from depression. So when I don't sleep, fuck me.
I'm 28 and I suffer from depression. Can that be the title of your autobiography?
No, because I'm not going to write my autobiography until I'm a 32-year-old lady.
There you go. Then you go, I'm a 32-year-old lady with depression.
Down the marbles, but make it spicy.
Exactly. Fun.
But yeah, so this week was shit. And it's not really anybody's fault. Unfortunately, COVID still exists, and so like the plan for how school was going to continue for me changed 4 times in 1 week. And so it's just been mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
And like at one point, my best friend texted, we have a group chat, like my 2 best friends at work, and she texted and said a meme that said, these weekends are starting to feel like a 30-minute lunch break. So that's about where I'm at. And then also, we'll get there. I want to ask Monica about her week first. But step 1, apologies to all of our listeners that last week's podcast was so effing long. I did not realize how long we just talked about absolutely nothing. But also, this episode will probably be just as long because for some reason, this was the longest episode of Hemlock Grove ever. It wasn't. It was only like 51 minutes long, but I feel like it took me 6 years to watch it.
Yeah, and it's honestly, and this time it's not just because there were like stale areas. It was more so like we learned a lot of things.
Yeah, there was a lot
of information in this episode. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just gonna be another one that you're gonna have to bunker in. And Courtney, I know you normally have your morning coffee. Make sure it's 2.
Yeah.
You'll be here for a while.
2 cups of coffee, at least.
Yeah, at least.
Probably 3 to understand what the F happened.
Or have a glass of wine, just be on the same level that we are on constantly.
Don't have a glass of wine that early in the morning. We all know what happened to me when I had a glass of wine that early in the morning. I had to change my shirt 3 times during the podcast.
That is true. That is true. So yeah, sorry in advance. But you get to have 2 hours with 2 of the funniest people. We'll try and make this as entertaining as we can. It's just going to be a lot of information just being thrown at you.
Oh, don't worry. My notes are entertaining. I laugh out loud when I read them, so.
Yeah, there you go. Mine are just...
I told Courtney one time, I was like, even if I wasn't the one doing the podcast, when I listen to it, I forget that it's me because I don't think I sound like my voice in my head and my voice
out loud.
Not the same thing. So like when I'm listening to the podcast, I forget that it's me and I genuinely start cracking up at myself.
Like there are times that, first of all, my voice, I am sorry that you guys second of all, my humor is a different breed, where it's if you hit it at the right time of day and you say just the slightest dumbest thing, I can make someone laugh for 20 minutes. But if I were to keep that type of humor all day, no. It works for the sleep deprived, the drunk, and that's about it. Or the people who have just really shitty humor taste. So if that's the case, hi, if you laugh at me.
I like really, really intellectual humor sometimes, but also I like really dumb jokes. Like,
I laughed at this video of SpongeBob noises on TikTok for 20 minutes. And I was like, where did my humor go?
I walked up to some of my friends at work who are from South Africa, and I said, "Hey guys, do you know why all the vampire stories are in Europe and there's none from Africa?" And they were like, "No." And I go, "Well, because vampires are allergic to holy water and they bless the rains down in Africa." They did not find it funny, but I laughed for 20 minutes at myself.
That is an iconic joke. Tweet that. Pull your phone out.
I stole it from somebody else, so I really can't. But it's one of my favorite jokes.
My favorite joke is telling my friends to euthanize me.
One of my favorite jokes is there's this like series of like horrible tweets and memes and stuff online of people who were supposed to do projects about euthanasia, but then they thought they were doing projects about youth in Asia. So me and my teaching partner Robbie, whenever we have to go to class, we're like, all right, time to deal with this euthanasia.
There you go.
But yeah, my humor is dumb.
Yeah. Humor, it's like alcohol. Okay?
No, because I know exactly where you're going. Like, could I drink a really nice Chilean wine? Absolutely. Am I still gonna get drunk on cheap, like, bathtub gin? Also, yes.
Like, that's just how it is. Like, you can have your nice refined humor. Then you can have literally bottom of the barrel shit. You can have like that bottom dollar 2 bottle of liquor. And you still get drunk.
I lost my tissue. Oh no, I didn't.
I was thinking an analogy of humor as alcohol. Yeah, that says a lot about me, and I don't like that. My first thing was alcohol, not cookies, not juice, not pop, alcohol. Anyway, my week.
Your week.
I can't do my little face that I make because I look like Pennywise. Anyway, my week.
I can't stop. Like, now that you've said that, every time I look at you, you look cross-eyed to me.
Okay, back to this week's episode. My week was very entertaining. If I'm close, I don't look, because then you can see that it's eyeliner.
Yeah, because you can see that.
I'll just be this close to the whole podcast. So this week, I had my boyfriend's 22nd birthday, and he had me watch the original 1995 Power Rangers movie. Not terrible. I didn't hate it. Ivan Ooze reminded me a lot of a children's watered down version of Freddy Krueger, which is okay. I think that might have been the point. I feel like there were some like little nods to Freddy in there that I could respect. I don't know enough about Power Rangers to know if that's what they were thinking. They slipped an F-bomb in there, and I think it was probably the perfect time to slip an F-bomb in there, and I laughed my ass off. What else? I slept.
Tommy looked fly in his white ninja suit.
Yeah, he did. He really did.
Love of my life.
And then I just been kind of chilling, drinking a lot of coffee, like one does. I spent time with my boyfriend, ate a lot of fast food. For his birthday, we had fettuccine alfredo, and that was pretty bomb. His mom made it. So yeah, it was a pretty alright week. Not too much crazy stuff happening here, but you know. I think I might know how to fix my eye dilemma.
Well,
I'm gonna
while you fix your eyes, I will give us the little blurb information. So this episode was episode 2 of season 3. It is called Souls on Ice. Came out on October 23rd, 2015, and IMDb users gave it a 7.5 rating, so like mediocre. It was directed by, oh no, hold on, I learned how to say her name. Koki Gedroich.
props to you on doing that or pronouncing that.
I looked it up. I looked up interviews with her to listen to other people say her name because I was not about to try to pronounce that. But first of all, she's dope. She's British and Polish, but she was born in Hong Kong. Well, back when England still owned Hong Kong. But she is a dope director. She was nominated for a BAFTA in 2007, which like a BAFTA is like the best film awards you can get because it's the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, so it's basically like an Emmy, only like better because British TV is better.
There now I look like Shigo and not like Pennywise. There you go.
She directed a ton, including like 4 episodes of What Remains and 2 episodes of Penny Dreadful before she did this. So like dope.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Not so dope. We have the writers. It was written by Travis Jackson and Nadar Navidi. Jackson literally never wrote for TV before this show, but he was a script coordinator for season 2 and a staff writer for all of season 3. And Navidi has literally only has season 3 of Hemlock Grove on his IMDb, where he was also a staff writer for the whole season, but wrote 2 episodes. So these 2 mans have literally never wrote anything but this show. And it shows.
Yeah, I still look like Pennywise. Yeah. Yeah. That it does show, and especially in an episode where there's so much information thrown at you.
Like, I think the reason, I figured it out, the reason why it felt so long was because it wasn't funny.
Yes.
Like, usually they have a good, obviously it's a scary show, but one of the things that we've always loved about the show is the funny dialogue. Like, I remember my favorite quote from season 1 was, like, they were going to the cemetery to, like, dig up a body, and it was horrible, but then they were joking about serial killers. Like, the show has always had really good comedic dialogue to tell the story, and this episode, there was maybe 2 lines that were kind of funny, but there was no good quotes that I wrote down. Like, IMDb has no quotes. It wasn't funny.
Yeah, there wasn't, like, anything super memorable in like, funny character-wise. Like, they're, like, Peter said a funny line, I think, like, in the first second of the episode. But, like, that was it. And
Spivak said a lot of funny stuff, but like it was also creepy funny, so it wasn't funny.
It was like he was like being how Spivak was when he was just a doctor type of person, but like you know exactly what he is and the things that he's capable of.
So it's not funny
anymore. Yeah, no. Also, yeah, Spivak's back.
The only thing that was funny is that Vlad was back, and Vlad.
Yeah. Vlad is literally, like, he is so precious. He really is just a precious man. And
like Price didn't even have any good lines this episode.
Price was in this episode for one scene.
And he had no one-liners in his one scene.
The only thing it says, like, is it Price, I need a favor, can you help me out? Or is it, hey, I'm gonna go fuck with Price time, when he was talking to Olivia?
Right, but like he didn't even say it in a clever, funny way. Like when Price has no good, witty like lines, your dialogue's wrong. I don't know why I'm holding a nail clipper. So the dialogue was severely lacking, and I think that's why it felt so long.
Yeah, that is for sure the case.
Because I didn't hate the direction, I didn't hate the episode. I felt like we learned a lot. I thought the color palettes, the DP did a great job. I thought that the timing of when they switched from scene to scene and how much time they gave each character was actually really well done.
Yeah.
But it was so boring.
Yeah, there wasn't any like, it felt like almost like no, I don't want to say a dumb episode in a sense of like the episode was dumb. It was like, hey, our viewers are stupid, let's spoon feed the information to them. It was very
But even
not
that, they didn't do well.
huh?
But even that, they didn't do well.
Yeah, like it was like we're gonna cut out all the humor and all the funny things. You can focus in on the important stuff that's going on right now. Whereas even in episodes where there were a lot of important things, they still had some comedic aspects to them to where
They
it made
also
it.
made you care a lot about characters who weren't important.
Yeah, like there
Like
was.
the opening, the pre-credit scene, I have a lot of notes about that, only for it to not matter at all.
Yeah, because I wrote a bunch of notes about the opening scene. So I was like, oh shit, like this. Because at first I only saw the body that's on the table, and I was like, what the hell am I looking at? And then I was like, oh, I was like, what is this person? Who are these people? And then she was then like the mortuary was explaining more as to what was going on, and we realized, oh, they're prepping a body for burial. And I was like, then like they're talking about these characters in such detail, and you're like getting involved in this kid losing his job,
Yeah.
and to mean nothing except a setup to what happens at the end of the cold open. And we don't address the cold open for I think 10 to 15 minutes into the episode. So I'm like, I mean, it's better than when we had Olivia's weird like Vampire Diaries flashback, and we literally got no context to any of that. So
Yeah,
that
agreed. It was stupid because they spent more time on the guy in the cold open, but the girl was the important character. And I was like,
and I was getting some weird vibes from the whole situation. I was like, okay, um, sure, alrighty, I guess. And I was getting weird vibes from her, not him. But I didn't like that she wasn't our main focus. But I think that in a sense, I understand why I think they wanted him to be our main focus about it,
yeah.
to distract and give us that time away.
Yeah,
So
if they gave us the information that fast, it would have taken away from the whole episode. That's why I'm saying, like, even telling us information, they didn't do in an intelligent way because they could have given us everything from that whole episode in one scene, and they didn't.
yeah, and there like we could have seen a glimpse, or we could have gotten that heat vision again, and we could have been like, oh, so we know Roman so we know this thing's going after certain people, and then Roman could have been that missing piece of the puzzle to realize that it's about Upier's. So and that would have been, I think, a more intelligent way, because then we would have known from that scene that, okay, Roman is definitely coming into this in this episode. Because I literally wrote down a note saying, okay, this can't be Olivia or Roman. There's no way that this is Olivia or Roman that did this to this woman. So I was like, spicy. I like it.
So the actual blurb says, Annie reveals her secrets to Roman as they probe a connection between two attacks. Olivia is unable to feed, and Miranda must fend for herself. So you read the blurb and you're like, God damn it, Miranda's back.
Yep, and boy, welcome back to Monica talking shit about Miranda. Haven't you missed it? No.
To be honest, I didn't hate her as
Nope.
much this episode.
Nope. She's still stupid and made dumbass decisions. I don't care. First of all, like, I'll talk about this more when we get to it. But like, first of all, how many times has she taken the baby when she hasn't needed to take the baby? And the one time she probably, I don't know, should take the fucking baby, she's like, I'll be back for you, bitch.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But I just also want to give a shout out to this one YouTube channel that I have to find it. That I found on accident the other day. The YouTube channel is called load something about something Godfrey, but oh my gosh, load. It's called Moonlight Godfrey is the name of the YouTube channel. But basically, he has these videos where he uses vines to describe all the characters in Hemlock Grove. And it might be the funniest thing I've ever watched.
Honestly, so many of them are accurate. And I like how someone watched Hemlock Grove and go, I can do it better. And then pulled up vines and said, let me tell a story real quick.
Basically, all of the vines were of Roman being jealous of Peter having relationships with other girls.
Yep.
And Miranda knowing absolutely nothing.
Yep.
But my hands down favorite was the vine where the woman is running away from the car and the guy gets out and is like, where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you running? But they had Miranda as the girl screaming and running, and Dr. Spivak being like, why are you running? And I was like,
why are you running? Why are you running? So yeah, go check it out if you want a good laugh.
Yeah. Also, they're not spoilery, so there's nothing from season 3 in there, so like you can still watch it and not ruin the season of the show.
And I know we kind of already talked about the cold open, and there really wasn't more to it besides the kid like was kind of botching this mortuary.
Yeah, so basically they were in a mortuary. There was a dude who was trying to learn how to do it, and then he screwed it up and he got fired, and he called his baby mama to tell her that he got fired, and she freaked out. And I have a lot of notes, but my important note was I was like, I love this poor dummy so much that he's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how the show works. But then he didn't die. He just walked in on somebody else being dead, and I was like, oh shit. Okay.
That's not how that works. And you want to know what? You're gonna love that dummy, and he ain't never gonna come back.
Right. He's never gonna be in the show again. So why do we need to know all this stuff about how many jobs he's lost and like his girlfriend being pregnant? Like, we could have had him get fired and then showed the other lady dying. All of that still could have happened without us having a whole scene of being attached to this poor kid who's dumb and can't keep a job for no reason.
Yeah, and like I think that if they were worried about spoiling anything, because like it was very prevalent. Like I was looking at it and I was like, okay, there's no way Roman or Olivia did any of this that happened. So like just
I thought Olivia might have done it.
I did not think that she did it, and because at this point, because obviously later on in the episode, she doesn't know that the formula that Price made is gone. So
right, but we don't know that. We don't know that she doesn't actually know. Because also, at that point, her and Price did not have a very good relationship, and she had clearly been, like, sucking down Michael's blood for so long that, like, I didn't know. I would not have put it past Olivia to go on a killing spree.
Fair. That is fair.
So I thought it could have been Olivia. I knew it wasn't Roman. But yeah. they did kind of set it up like it could be Roman because of the whole thing last episode where he was going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, but it didn't. Roman wouldn't have done it like that.
Yeah. Like if they wanted to show her getting killed, it could have, instead of showing the creature, they could have showed like that heat X-ray vision that we had seen earlier that day, which also means the guy on that first episode that thing attacked was an Upier.
Which, that is so stressful to me.
Like, because later on, in like literally in a few scenes, we find out that no, this is like towards the end of the episode. We find out that they're targeting Upiers because there's like investigations with our little clan of people that they kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
And so now you're looking back and you're like, well, that heat-eyed vision thing went after some random guy. So he must have been a Upier, which I feel like is bringing up the fact that there are a lot more Upiers in Hemlock than we think.
Which is causing Roman to have all kinds of mental problems.
Yeah, because Roman's like, I'm the only one, like, Oopier that I know of, and now that he knows that Annie's one,
Yeah.
um,
Oh, I do have one really great note on my about the opening scene before we move on. Um, so in the beginning, at first you didn't know what was going on, and they were just draining a body, and I was like freaked out. Was like, who are they draining now? Like, what's going on? And then her eyeball popped open, and they had a really gross close up on her eyeball. And my note literally says, "Oh no, 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 no!" Like,
honestly, that was pretty freaking gross. I was like, at first, I thought this was a creature, and her eyes could, like, bug out of her head.
yeah, I
And
thought
then,
she was gonna be a vampire and wake up and like get off the thing, and I was freaked out.
yeah, yeah. I was like, excuse me, bitch. So,
But
but
so
it
then,
wasn't.
yeah, so then the credits happen, and when we come back from the credits, Roman is just chilling, asleep on his couch with his axe, and I wrote, Roman, baby, why are you sleeping with a battle axe?
Yeah, I literally said, okay, Roman's sleeping with a battle axe. Odd choice, but, you know.
And then he's like walking around the house looking for Annie, and like she's taking a shower and like walking around the house in a bathrobe. And I wrote, "Where is Peter? Didn't he move in?"
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I think he was still at Destiny's in the last episode. I think he stayed there one
Yeah,
last
because
night.
then about 2 minutes later, Peter got to the house, and I was like, "Oh,
And he had
okay."
boxes.
But I did find out so basically Annie and Roman are having a conversation, and they're just talking about like being au pair and how to feed and how she doesn't kill anybody. And we kind of learned two facts that are important to the lore of what an au pair is. They don't really do anything for the plot, but they're interesting. One kind of does affect the plot, kind of. But so the first one is that in this universe, being an au pair is hereditary.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, we still don't really fully understand whatever it is. But when Roman says he doesn't know any other au pairs, Annie immediately jumps to, what about your parents? So
Yeah.
in this universe, one or both of your parents have to be au pair for you to be au pair.
Mhm.
Because like the idea, he said he was a self-starter, and she kind of just like looked at him funny. So like you can't be turned. It's hereditary, whatever it is.
Well, if you are born with the call, it's like a chosen thing that, okay, well, you are going to be a new peer.
Right. Like, because in a lot of things, like you can be.
It's like having blue or brown eyes in a way.
Well,
It's a
because like in most vampire like lore, you have to get turned into a vampire. But also that's because in most vampire lore, you can't birth children as a vampire.
Mhm.
So like this is interesting because it's something that is hereditary. It's something that you have to be born with. So it's a very different take on it. So like that's interesting because we've always thought that that was true, but this kind of confirmed that.
And the fact that, like, I think they have the, like, they can, because it's weird. Roman became an Oupier after he
You
killed
have to.
Olivia,
No, no, no.
right?
Because after he killed himself, remember he slit his wrists.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you have to have the genes, but then you have to die to get triggered,
Yeah.
basically. And we learn that later because Annie tells how she died later in the story in the episode. But the other interesting thing we learn at this point is that there are a lot more Oupiers roaming around the world than Roman is aware of, and most of them work as like EMTs and doctors and nurses so that they have access to blood so that they don't have to kill people, because most of them are like, it's basically the whole idea that like they're the good guys kind of thing. Like they're not being like Olivia and running around wildly murdering people. They're like getting blood however they can without killing people.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that because it's not a choice, because it's not a violent thing. It's just something you're born with. There's this idea that it's more peaceful than in other vampire stories.
Yeah, because it's like in every vampire story, it's like they talk about wanting, like, they have to hunt, they have to kill people.
Right, like
Whereas,
you have like the Twilight vegetarian vampires, and the fact that like in Vampire Diaries, when the boys are being good, they drink blood bags instead of like killing people, and like there's this whole idea that like only the good ones don't kill people, whereas this world is kind of like, no, only the crazy ones do kill people.
yeah.
So I like that.
And also they said that, and we learned this later on, that Annie says that a majority of morturers, is that what they're called? Morticians.
Mortician.
Morticians are oopier.
Well, I mean, that's a great way to like, because you drain the blood from the body before you bury it anyway, so like,
Might as well just,
well, yeah. Um, so then somebody in my hallway just made a really weird noise and it freaked me out. Then we go to Olivia and Shelly, and Olivia, my note says, "Aw, Olivia did something nice." Kind of.
yeah.
Because she did something really nice and then immediately ruined it with what she said.
Yeah.
So basically, Olivia finally, I don't know why it's taken 17 years for this to happen, but Olivia finally bandages Shelly's hands in gloves instead of mittens. So she can
Use her fingers.
And use her fingers. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's such a nice thing, Olivia finally stepping up. Until she says, now I don't have to help you with this every morning. About her pills. And I was like, you bitch.
Yep. And then Shelly was like, I don't like these. I feel nothing on them. She's like, and that's your issue. You feel too much. And I was like, do not demean the fact that Shelly loves your stupid fucking ass. And the only way, because she did love too much.
Granted, no, Olivia's very rude in how she says that. But granted, Shelly right now is going through some emotional trauma where she is feeling too much, and numb is better than what she's going through.
Yes. Also help, but yes.
Well, I mean, the pills do help. It's just that she has Olivia for a mother.
Yeah. I think, like, if she had psychiatric help and was on the pills and could eventually be able to be off the pills, would be probably one of the best things for her to give her
The
hope.
problem is her psychiatric help is Dr. Price, who's clearly not capable of that because he's got a conflict of interest. But she can't really go to anyone else because how does she explain
herself to someone?
Right. Like the people that she could talk to are Price and Norman. And Norman's dead and Price is a mess.
When we get to that scene later, I'm going to tear Olivia a new asshole. Anyway.
So then, as they're talking about this, the doorbell rings. And Olivia's confused because who the fuck would come to her house because she has no friends. And it's Vlad, our favorite character, Vlad.
Our favorite boring man.
The most boring, but in the best way. And he's like, listen, I recognized you from the picture on Norman's desk, and so, like, I thought you might know, like, what's going on. He didn't tell me he was going anywhere, and that's super not like him, and, like, obviously, this man needs his psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
So then Olivia tells her whole story about Norman disappearing and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, like, Olivia lying about Norman is her least believable lie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she has been lying up and down to everyone about everything this whole show, and she's never had a problem lying. And now, trying to talk to Shelly and Vlad about Norman, she, like, suddenly doesn't know how to lie.
Yeah, like, she's like, the way she was doing it, though, was like, I shouldn't talk about this in front of my daughter. Yet proceeds to talk at the same volume and doesn't close the door so her daughter can exactly overhear every single thing she's saying.
It's like, she's like, how do I be the grieving widow? Right, oh, I'm so sad.
She's like, how do I be the grieving widow without letting everyone know that I'm a grieving widow because no one knows you're dead?
Right, it's so bad. It's so bad.
So and she keeps slipping up and keeps saying was or used to be or yeah he did and speaking of him in the past tense. I'm like, sis, if this was Dateline.
That's how husbands who kill their wives get caught, is because in the police interviews they use the past tense instead of the present tense. And if you didn't believe that your husband was dead, you would still be saying is, hopefully.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Because
I was listening to like 3 different things about the Chris Watts story yesterday,
I
and
was going to tell you about that. Dude, Chris Watts interview and everything, he's smiling.
yeah,
He's like,
it's a mess. The
they
biggest
were.
the biggest problem is I have a friend who worked with and was really good friends with Shannon. So like I don't like to talk about that whole story because
That is
I didn't know her, but because she worked for an MLM, like, and that was the whole thing why she was so on Facebook. It was the same one that one of my friends worked for. So one of my friends was friends with her.
oh yeah, I can understand why that's touchy.
So like I get really uncomfortable, but like I was listening to Dr. Phil's podcast about it yesterday, which I don't really like Dr. Phil, but like his voice is really soothing, and like I like true crime, so like I listen to his podcast, and then I also watched Bailey Sarian's video about him yesterday, and I was just like, man,
Whack ass. And real quick, another true crime, because I saw this also on Dateline. Remember, okay, it was about the boy who, Bailey Sarian did a video on this, is a boy who fell off the balcony with the razor scooter, and then the girl was found bound and hanging.
oh my god, Dr. Phil has a season about her too. Dr. Phil did a season about her too, and so that one was crazy.
I think the brother did it for the other brother.
What?
It was
the dad's brother.
yeah, the dad's brother.
Who then found the body. I agree.
Because yeah, the call was like, yeah, there's just some woman hanging out. It's not like he didn't know who she was, and she was tied with nautical knots, even though they tried to prove that she could do it herself behind her back. But what woman would kill herself naked and exposed out?
Also, the way the blood was in the bedroom, there was no way she did it herself. No.
Yeah, and there was no way that was just menstrual blood that they were trying to, because she was on her period, so they used a lot of it that was menstrual blood that was down the menstrual blood that was on the carpet. And I was like, yeah. And
also, I genuinely don't believe that she killed the son. I think it genuinely was an accident.
Same. I really don't think that she killed him. And I like that case because it was on Dateline, and it was because I came off and it came up, and so I was like telling my parents about all of it, and I was like, it's so messed up. I'm like, there's no way that she did it herself. Like, first of all, what woman would go commit suicide as a like? There are statistics
that way. Like, there's a lot of ways to commit suicide, but the way that she did it was not. It didn't make sense.
Like, normally that is not something that you want to publicly display. Like, also trigger warning here for, toxic suicide, and also trigger warning later in the video as well. That the way that had happened to her, it doesn't seem like something that you would choose to do. And like, I can't, even if that was it, which I really don't believe it was.
Yeah, no. So, like I said, Dr. Phil, he doesn't know what he's talking about a lot of times. But when it comes to like like when he gives medical advice about COVID, that was dumb. But when it comes to psychoanalysis, that is kind of his job. He has a podcast called Analysis of Murder, and season 1 was about Gypsy Rose. Season 2 was about Rebecca Zahu, the one we were just talking about. Season 3 was about this girl who pushed her husband out of a window.
Damn.
On like the 27th floor.
Yeah.
But like she claims that it was in self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was pregnant and he was in the military and on steroids and attacked her. But then people are saying that like she couldn't have done it like unless it was on purpose because of the force it would have taken. But then that building also had like code violations for the glass on their windows, and so like hot mess. And season 4 was the disappearance of Kyron Horman, who was like an 8-year-old boy who just disappeared from his school, and they think the stepmom did it, but there's never been a definitive answer. And then season 5 is Chris Watts, which is what I'm listening to right now.
Yeah.
But there is 11 seasons.
Also, another shout out to another podcast if you do like true crime and fun ways of discussing it and listening to it, I highly suggest listening to Cult Leader by Spencer Henry. He is a true genius. I love that man and listening to him talk all the time about true crime and everything like that. He's also really funny. He talks about like the big profile cases, like you're gonna hear about John Wayne Gacy, Ted Bundy. I almost said Ted Cruz.
That's
Well, he
the Zodiac
probably
killer.
called the Zodiac Killer. So, Ted Cruz. Um, so, in all honesty, really good. I know we went off on a little bit of a spiral about true crime here, but that kind of just happens with us. So give them a listen. They're really fun.
Also, this is my last true crime thing because Courtney had said a couple weeks ago that we should watch and listen to, and That's Why We Drink, and I did just start listening to them. But I found something out from And That's Why We Drink, and it was also on a TikTok that I saw. You know the phrase "Don't drink the Kool-Aid" because it comes from the Jonestown Massacre.
Yes.
But I have recently discovered via TikTok and podcasting that these cheap ass bitches didn't even use Kool-Aid. They used Flavor Aid.
Yep. It was, and if you go to, I think it's the Museum of Death, they have the Flavor Aid packets from the Jonestown Massacre hanging in a wall.
But you could afford cyanide to kill 1,000 people and you couldn't spring for some real Kool-Aid?
Well, it's just like Heaven's Gate. They literally like bought merch, like bulk of the same outfit, and they all wore the same outfit when they, all went to Heaven's Gate, and in their mass bye-bye session. I'm trying not to be like triggering about it. So like bye-bye session, and like that, he said Nikes and Adidas. And the amount, like, people thought Nike and Adidas were affiliated with it, and like they were starting to like lose money in the stocks. Like it was a whole mess. Dude, serial killers be fucking shit up for everybody. No one has nice things here. Also, I'm moving to my bed because my ass hurts, so my chair's really uncomfortable.
So anyway, now that we've gone on a tangent for who knows how long, we go back to Roman's house, and Peter and Roman are trying to talk in code, and it's so dumb.
I know.
Like, he was like, so do you think that was them? And he was like, no, that's not their style. So was it Rooftop Guy? And he's like, what the f are you guys talking about?
Yeah, like honestly, first of all, I don't know why Roman didn't like right off the bat before this. Obviously, she was there when he got attacked about something that he wasn't like off the bat. Oh yeah, she's new beer. Like don't worry about it.
Right. But also, like, he probably didn't want to say it in front of Annie because it's not really his secret to tell. And Annie doesn't know that Peter's a werewolf. Like he doesn't know that she wouldn't know that Peter would be cool with him knowing. Like
That is fair.
But so anyway, they're talking in dumb code and it doesn't make sense and they're being dumb boys because that's what they do. And so then Peter's like, or Roman's like, give us a second, and he pulls Peter out into the hallway and they're talking about her. And Peter says, I don't really care how good her gag reflex is. She doesn't need to get pulled up into our shit. And I literally was like, you sound so jealous right now, Peter.
He's like, I was supposed to be the one at home. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
And Roman explains that she's an Upir, and then he's like talking about how he needs her to be there because he needs to understand how she fits into this and how she found him, but also he needs to understand how he fits into the world in general. And I literally just wrote, oh, you poor little lost Roman.
He's literally a lost boy. Peter Pan would have loved his ass.
Well, that's a different gay smut story that we don't need to get into. We've already got romantic.
Yeah, that is true.
Then we go back to Olivia's house, and Shelly is forcing herself to vomit up her pills. And I just wrote, Shelly, don't do that.
Yep. I think it's really, as we see later on in the episode, Shelly's just really tired of being here.
Shelly is going through it.
She doesn't care anymore. It's almost like whatever gets her out of here quicker, she doesn't care.
Yeah. But then we go right back to Roman's house, and Destiny gets there because she's dropping off a box of Peter's stuff that he forgot. And she's like, what the hell happened? And he was like, there's a break-in. And there was some blood on the window, like on the broken window, the break-in. So Destiny just takes the piece of bloody glass and puts it in her mouth and starts walking around the house in a trance. And Annie's like, Annie's freaking out. And I literally wrote, Annie's reaction to Destiny is my favorite because I think the boys are so used to fucked up that they forget it's fucked up.
Yeah. See, I thought she licked the glass. I didn't know she just like.
No, she swallowed it. Like she took it and was like, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like coughing it back up, and Annie's like, oh my God, she like needs to go to the hospital. She could have cut herself. Like she's freaking out about glass shards in this girl's throat, like which Annie's a nurse, so like rightfully so. And Roman just goes, no, don't worry about it. She's psychic. Like, what does that stop her from having a throat?
Also, I like how Annie is with Destiny, and versus how Miranda was with Destiny.
Yeah.
Because like Annie's just like I feel like I like Annie. I literally have a note saying, I actually don't have any bad thoughts towards Annie. I'm still not 100% if we can fully trust her, but I don't hate her character. I don't think her character is completely not.
I have similar notes later, but I think it's funny. Like she reacts freaked out by it, but not like freaked out like she's condemning her, just freaked out because what the hell is happening?
Yeah, like why is she literally just had glass down her throat. Why don't we like take medical attention? She's a psychic. And
well, she did also like die multiple times in the show without dying, so like
true. She tiptoes with death.
Then we go to a meeting.
Also, real quick about the last scene. I honestly thought Destiny was gonna come into this house and have some wacky ass fucking vision about Annie, like, and be like that's so Raven her ass, but she didn't. Which honestly is weird for Destiny's character because she has one about everyone that comes into the boys' lives.
But you know what else is weird? So remember, literally, season 1, episode 1. Peter walks past Roman at school, goes home to his mom and says, there's this boy at school who's up here, but I don't think he knows it. So if he's able to tell just by walking past Roman what he is, how does he not know what Annie is?
Yeah.
That confused me. I was like, so his spidey sense skill, like all of Peter's magical, like psychic skills are gone now? What?
Honestly, that could have happened when Roman yanked him out of the Vargulf.
Maybe. But were they, no, because I guess he hasn't had any dreams since then either. I don't know. His psychic abilities have been the least consistent part of the show.
Yeah, and they're like neither of them have had dreams because I don't think neither of them really know what's coming in order to have a premonition dream.
Yeah. I don't know.
Wackadoodle dandy.
Then we go to a meeting with Olivia and Isaac, and he is telling her about all the information that he has found about Spivak, which is not a lot. We learned that Spivak is a Ukrainian word that means song. Great, nothing. Then he shows a picture of this dude from like 70 years ago, and I wrote, what the fuck, dude, how the hell? And then Isaac's like, this can only mean one of two things. And he like gets really serious, and he's like, or it's his old man. And I was like, yeah, you poor dummy.
His literally his two things were, I either broke the space-time continuum, or, and it was like all the suspenseful, and Livia's like getting all tweaky. He's like, oh my God, is he gonna say it? He's like, it's his old man. And I was like, why are you being serious?
Like, what a dummy. And then Olivia says, it's time I told you the truth about my son. And I wrote, what truth, bitch? But we don't know because that scene ended.
Yeah, I literally wrote down, I said, what? Like, I literally said, what truth? The fact that you turned your son into a vampire? Is that what you're going to tell him? Or no, that he kills people? Like, what truth do you have on Roman? That they raped it? Wait. She's going to tell him that it's his baby. Because remember,
They already know it's Roman's baby because she keeps calling it her grandchild, and Roman is very clear that it's his daughter.
unless she's going to say it was an incest baby.
Now, here's my thing. Speaking of the fact that it's very clear that it's Roman's daughter, has Peter not figured that out yet? Like, does Peter just think that Roman's raising it as his daughter because it was Letha's? Or does Peter seriously still not know that Roman is biologically the father of this child?
I don't know, because that connection and that blow up never happened at all last season when I was expecting. Like, oh,
Like, Roman's way too attached to the baby for it to just be Letha's child. Like, that is obvious.
yeah.
Then we go to some weird cabin in the woods.
Like I was like, are we in fucking Nova Scotia or like Minnesota?
Those
Minnesota.
are two places.
Well, they're wearing sweaters or snow outside, and they're in a log cabin.
Yes, but Nova Scotia and Minnesota are two very different places.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Nova Scotia, Minnesota, like it was one place.
No, I said, are they in Nova Scotia or Minnesota? The way you said those two things, you might as well be Canadian. Also, can you hear me from back here?
No, I can hear you. Yeah, no, the way I just did say Minnesota was really.
Oh, you're gonna go down and go to Minnesota?
Put on my sweater and go out to the woods. There's a deer at the Salt Lick. So we are at this fucking cabin in Nova Scotia with I don't think it's actually in Nova Scotia. I just like that theory.
Say Nova Scotia.
Yeah. With Miranda and Pearl and the baby and Dr. Spivak, and he's making some fucking food and talking about it and like, you know, weird. Also, he looks messy.
He looks, very, like, he looks ungroomed. He has a pedo stash, which I mean, fair.
But like the stash and the hair and he just looks messy.
Yeah, very, very rough. Very rough.
And Pearl finally cracks, and she yells at him to shut up and stabs him in the neck with a fork.
I thought you said we were about to say the nuts. I'm like, that would have been gruesome.
No, I was gonna say stabs him with a knife, but then I was like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. So she stabs him in the neck with a fork. Which he bleeds, which confused me. Because now I'm even more confused as to what on earth he is.
Yeah, and he bleeds like normal red blood. It's not like green or black or anything weird.
Yeah.
Which is also makes you question like a later scene.
Exactly.
Because there's no blood in that scene.
Exactly. Very confused. But then his response is to tell her that after everything they've been through, he thought she wouldn't act like that. And spit acid in her face so it melts off.
Yeah, like melts. And then he like becomes all sweet and caring. And he's like, oh, it's okay. And he like scoops her up and tosses this bitch in a hole and we just hear a thud. Like it was a deep ass hole with like bearings on the side and just a nice big old thud.
It was basically like, you know, those like fancy log cabins that have a balcony. It was basically like he threw her off the balcony.
But inside the house.
Yeah. That's what I mean. The log cabin that we stayed at in Tennessee when we went with Grandma and Papa had this gorgeous inside balcony like that. That's what I was picturing.
Oh,
that was a great stay. I tried to murder your brother in the hot tub.
Honestly, Which one?
DJ.
Of course. Then after this,
Oh, no. Hold on. There's one more note I have about the scene. Because for
oh,
some reason, while all of this is happening, Nadia is laughing and smiling. And I said, what did he do to this child that she thinks it's funny for acid burns on someone's face? I do not like.
yep. There's also more questions that deal with Nadia, obviously, later in the
Oh, I have
episode.
plenty of questions about Nadia this
Yeah.
episode. Um,
And hopefully you guys have watched this episode without watching us, because you're just hearing two bitches babble on about random shit then.
which, I mean, honestly, if that's what you're into, keep giving us the traction. Um,
After this, we go to Price talking to his little recorder in the White Tower, which, I mean, at least he's still, like, working on his audiobook thing that he so desperately wants to do. He's disheveled, he's a mess, but he's, like...
But no, but my favorite thing is he's doing it. I did really like this show, that part, because he's got his little recorder and he's talking and he's talking and he's saying all this really scientific stuff, blah, 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 full stop, blah, 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 semicolon. I still know jack shit.
Yep. You want to know what makes me confused? Price has been using that since season 1.
Yeah.
And literally documents anything verbal to his recorder. Why doesn't he just listen to his past tapes to figure out what he had?
He probably could have. It would probably just take a lot of time and energy, and
But honestly,
also,
more time and energy than right now that he's even.
Well, but also a little storage tape on a recorder like that, because I used to have one for voice lessons to practice singing. The storage on those recorders is not a ton. So whatever he recorded, he would have then had to digitally back up somewhere. So that's probably what got deleted.
Then why keep working at? I'm kidding. He needs something.
So then Olivia shows up with all of her Spivak being 100 years old thing and information and gives it to him. And Price goes a little bit crazy. I don't know what on earth he's talking about, but he said
plum.
Essex.
He said plum.
He said Essex lime plum.
Then he got really fixated on plum, and starts like scrolling through.
And then just
like,
goes, "Can I keep these?"
He said, "Boom," and Olivia's like, "Be my guest." And she's like, "I really would like more elixir, please," or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, she's like, "Feed me." And she's like, "I gave you information. You give me food." And he's like, "Oh yeah, no, like, I flushed that shit." And she's
then
like,
she goes, "What?"
And he's like, "Bitch, your fault."
And he's like, "You literally only have yourself to blame." And she's like, "Ah, shit, you right."
Right.
And then proceeds to leave.
Guess I gotta go feed. So she goes and stalks this dude, and then decides not to kill him because he starts shooting up heroin. And I have a note that I'm really curious, like, what would heroin blood be like for an OPR? Like, would that be...
It could, I don't know, it could be poisonous to them. It could make them addicted to heroin. Or...
Would it be like if we had, like,
food poisoning?
Well, or like food poisoning, or like, would it be like if you're trying to like drink spoiled milk or something? Like, would it just be off?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's message Roman and ask him.
These are the thoughts that I have while watching this show. What would heroin blood taste like?
Either really good or really bad.
Then we go to Shelly. And
this poor girl is so bored. She is sitting on her bed pulling the long light switch over and over again. So
and I wrote, "This is why we take our meds, Shelly." Because no, I mean, and obviously I've gone through some trauma in my life. Nothing nearly like what Shelly's been through, clearly. But definitely, if I skip my meds for a couple days, I've had days where my mood was such that I probably would turn the lights on and off 40 times in a row and do nothing else. So I get it. I get it. But this is why we take the medicine, so that we don't do that.
But Shelly is sitting on her bed, like hearing all these children at the playground playing, like forlorning and wishing she could, you know, be a part of like the world again because she knows she pretty much can't be because she's just like deemed
I thought the little
bad luck
boy was
as
Jason,
Jason.
and I was gonna be really happy for her, but then he ran away screaming, so it obviously wasn't Jason. So sad.
Em, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, you froze on me.
Oh, I just got the notification that my internet connection is unstable. No,
Full state.
yeah, but so obviously it's not Jason because he runs away screaming, and then she just takes their kite and plays with it.
She's literally sitting there like looking up at a kite and like playing with it.
And
And
like had like a moment of peaceful joy.
but before the rest of the scene continues, we go back to Spivak and Miranda.
Yes. Because Miranda is changing Nadia's diaper. And I rewound it and paused it and watched that scene 4 times because I thought I was seeing things at first, but I was not. There were abdominal scars on that baby as if her ovaries had been removed.
Mm-hmm. There was literally one on each side, like
Yeah. It looked almost
just
like an appendix scar, but it was higher and it was on both sides.
yep. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm sitting there going, well, did he take out the weird? Because he talks about it later in the scenes, like, oh, her
Later
eyes.
in the scene, he says something about how her eyes are the right color now, and whatever the procedure he did worked so well. And I literally wrote, "This man thing is a piece of shit."
Yeah, and apparently, like, Miranda does not know what he did to Nadia at all. So we're just at least we're in Miranda's shoes in the sense that she also doesn't know what the
I
procedure
know
did or
absolutely nothing.
yeah for a
Miranda.
lot of for an episode that gave us a lot of stuff. It's still very confusing.
That's what I
Um,
said. They didn't even do that well. They're like, "Here, you're dumb, so here's going to be all this information." Only, truthfully, they didn't give us any information.
Gave us more questions than anything. Um, and so Miranda, she thinks she's slick because she hears Spivak gargling in the basement while yodeling music is playing. Because I had my subtitles on. It said Spivak gargles, yodel music plays, and those are the two subtitles. And I was like, you know what? If Spivak as a character was
It didn't
like
say
some
gargle, it said groan.
or grown, same thing. I was gonna say if those two subtitles were to be assigned to any one character, it would be him.
Yeah, it was
So I'm
weird.
only assuming he's eating Pearl
Yeah, that's what
is
I
my
was thinking. Um,
um
but so while this is happening, while he's downstairs making noise, Miranda takes a hammer and hides it in her sweater.
mhm. Now
Um,
that's where we go back to Shelley.
we go back to Shelly, and Shelly was swinging. Oh, earlier she played with the kite, and then she went on the swing and was swinging, and there was all this like really sad. Oh, she put her headphones in and played the Bach song that Price played for her, and went on the swings, and it was so sad but sort of peaceful until this scene when I realized what she was doing.
She went to the tree that she used to sit and read at and saw that Price actually did
That's what
put
I wrote. Oh no, he really did bury Priscilla under the tree because we thought he was lying, but he wasn't.
he wasn't. He actually did put Priscilla there with her headstone. And then Shelley, because I noticed when she was walking from the swings that
She
there was a
had the
chain.
swing chain with her. I thought she was gonna hang up the swing on the tree so that she could swing near Priscilla. But then she didn't. She tried to hang herself from the tree, and it was really traumatic and sad and like
Really,
graphic.
it was really hard to like you see her kick like trigger warning again. It was like you see her kick like the garbage can out from under her and I'm like, "Oh my God. And then it's a faraway shot and you're like
And
seeing
so
her
you
hang.
see her hanging, and it was really intense. But then the way that they did this was supposed to be heartbreaking, but it was a little hysterical, like, because I'm a horrible person. But so she's hanging, and you think she's gonna die, but then she's so heavy that the tree just breaks and she falls off. But and so she doesn't die. She falls on the ground and she's like crying that it didn't work. But the way that it was shot and the way it just was so cartoon looking, and the tree just like broke and collapsed, and I was like, what the fuck?
You're right. It was like watching a cartoon character trip.
Yeah, it was like I know that I should be sad. Like, I'm happy that it didn't work and she didn't die. I should be sad because I'm feeling her pain and it's a horrible moment, and I just watched somebody try to commit suicide and it was really horrible. But also just the way the visual effects of the tree breaking were so cartoonish and dumb that I was cracking up, and I felt like such a shitty person for laughing, but it was so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happens when you put too much money into your visual effects team. And they don't use it. Anyway.
Then we go to Andreas and the Scooby, or the werewolf gang, the pack.
The Scooby gang.
No, because my next note is about the Scooby gang, so I confused myself. But Andreas. Oh, it's the Croatians are there trying to get the product, and they are like, oh, they're gonna give them $2.3 million because of how much is there in there. And Peter's like, that is double what was in there last night. Like, what did you do? And Andreas is like, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. And he's like, you stepped on the Croats. Like, we're gonna get fucked. And Andreas is like, stop worrying about it.
I'm confused. Like, why? How did there become double of what was in there last night? Like, did he buy more, or did he split up what was?
He faked it. He put counterfeit stuff in.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Peter's obviously not thrilled because he doesn't want to get caught with counterfeit stuff, because he knows that the Croatians will, like he said last episode, fuck them in the ass with an ice pick. And I said, I don't know how I feel about this side of Andreas.
Yeah.
You know what?
I think we're learning a lot about more why Andreas had a gun and a silencer on his gun last season.
Yeah.
So.
Then we go to the mortuary. Destiny, Roman, and Annie have gone to investigate what Destiny's vision showed them earlier. And I wrote, I'm surprised Peter was cool with the gang investigating without him.
I know, like, Peter just felt so left out. I don't like that Peter's getting dragged into this Andreas stuff, because, like, I want him to do with Roman and Destiny and Annie, like, fighting crime and being the Scooby gang. But freaking Andreas got him over here like, hey, let's stuff beluga caviar, my guy.
Yeah. Then we go back to Miranda and Spivak. And Spivak is like...
Real quick, before we go back to Miranda and Spivak, Destiny and them are looking around, and so Destiny says one of my favorite lines is, Destiny, they're all asking like questions, and Destiny's like, can you just let me do my thing, you guys go look around. And then Annie's like, well, are you sure? You don't need any help. She's like, I've always been comfortable with the dead. They don't lie, they don't pick their noses, and they don't break your heart. I was like,
I mean, yeah, those are 3 very important skills, or like traits to have.
I was like, oh, like, there are demons, but oh.
Yeah, so basically Destiny's trying to psychically feel out the place, and Annie and Roman are going to investigate using not so psychic methods of investigation because they're not psychic. Then we go back to Spivak and Miranda, and Spivak's still just like talking mad shit about who knows what, about sausages and dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Miranda beats him in the head with the hammer.
Yeah, there was like, okay, that shit won't work. And there's no blood, but this time there's no blood, and she bludgeoned him with a hammer.
And to the point
And
where his skin is ripped off and you can see the scales underneath, but there's no blood.
yeah, at least this time it looked like actual scales, so I wasn't that mad.
Right.
Thank God. Um, but the thing is that Miranda she bashes him and she gets his keys, and it takes her a long ass time to find his goddamn keys, and he's groaning, which it sounds like he's fake groaning, so I thought he was gonna try and let her escape for a reason at first. But no, it just because he sucks at acting apparently, that he can't pretend that he's hurt. Anyway, if she noticed that he was still grimacing and he wasn't getting up and she needed more time, bash him in the fucking head again. He's clearly down. Keep fucking bashing him. Why aren't you still bashing him? So she ends up getting the keys and goes to the door to unlock it. And the one time this bitch hasn't taken the baby at all this season is right now. She's like, I'll be back for you. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
You don't want to, like, throw the baby through the woods and in the cold, and that's understandable. But, like, what the fuck? The one time you should.
Devil's advocate. She does not know where she is. And if you are to run away and run through the woods in the cold, not knowing where you are, trying to escape, carrying something is going to make it much harder.
But I would have been more scared that he would have killed the baby.
No. He needs the baby. Whatever is going on, whatever his whole master plan was, has always been about this baby. So, she knows that in the grand scheme of things, he's not going to hurt the baby. I mean, he's already done things that I think are harming the baby. But, like, in the grand scheme of, like, life or death, he's not going to hurt the baby. She needs to figure out where she is and get help from someone who's more capable than her dumbass to get the baby. So, do I think it was dumb? Yes. But do I think it was the dumbest thing she's ever done? No.
Fair. I just find it funny. She takes the baby literally when she never needs to, and the one time she probably should have taken the baby, she's like, yeah.
But my note for that does say, damn, Miranda actually did something.
Yeah, she did. She actually did.
Because she's never done anything for herself before.
And now after this scene, we see Miranda starting to book ass towards these woods. And we go to Olivia knocking on Vlad's door.
Hold on. Before Olivia knocks on Vlad's door, Vlad is watching TV in his house. And he's watching some Ancient Aliens bullshit show. And I wrote, yeah. And, well, in the show, they were like, sources believe that Adam and Eve were actually aliens. And Vlad goes, there are 38 races of aliens. Be more specific. And I was like, of course he believes and knows all 38 races of aliens. Of course. None of this is surprising to me. And then he goes and starts listing the 38 species of aliens. And of course he lists the Greys, bless. But he says Nordics. Which I don't know. I know about the Greys because of last podcast on the left. I don't know what the Nordics are or what the alien theories about the Nordics are. I don't know if it's fictional. But I do know that Price is incredibly obsessed with Norwegians for no reason. Not Price, Spivak, sorry. Spivak is incredibly obsessed with Norwegians and their food and Vikings. And earlier he was talking about Vikings raping girls and like I am uncomfy with the comparison that he may or may not be an alien. Because we have said since episode 2 that we did not want there to be aliens in the show.
And boy, did they fucking do it.
But then Olivia knocks on the door and he goes,
well, hey, at least it's more fitting now for our...
That's true. Now, there are now both death and aliens.
So you're welcome. We didn't plan this.
We did not.
We did, but not for the show.
So then Olivia is talking to Vlad, and she's pretending to be sad about Norman still. And
She is and was because she knows he's already dead. And Vlad's like, no, don't speak like that. That's bad juju, superstition. You gotta
yeah.
say is.
But also, remember when we were so upset about Vlad's binder about how his wife should act? Well, apparently she was also very upset about that binder because she don't left him.
Yeah, and he said that he didn't want to tell Norman because he didn't want to seem weak. I was like, Vlad, honey, no, it's okay.
I
He
know. I was
deserves
like,
a taupe couch. He literally said he wanted to buy a taupe couch to spice things up.
he's
Taupe.
so boring that I just love him.
Yep.
Um, so Olivia is like, this boring, lonely man is the perfect victim to eat and kill. Only for some reason, when she bites down on his neck, she then immediately starts retching and throwing up everywhere. And he is like, I'm bleeding. And then he goes, no, that's a new carpet.
He literally, no, this is the first time I ever heard him. He's like, that's a new fucking carpet. He
Yeah.
literally said,
He swore. He was so upset about his nice brown taupe sand colored carpet getting blood on it that he cracked.
because he was so excited about the taupe couch. He said, oh, she's gone. I can do anything I want in here now. So he said.
Then
I mean, look at my notes. Oh, Miranda. We go back to Miranda.
okay, yeah, because I was gonna say we must go back to Miranda because my note says, "Oh, Pearl was the girl he killed earlier." This is when I figured out it was Pearl, but I couldn't remember what happened. Oh, so Miranda flags is running through the woods and she flags down this car and borrows their cell phone so that she can text for help, and then Spivak shows up and says that his wife ran away because they got into a fight, and um, it's just weird. But basically,
So Miranda comes back and gives the phone, and she's like, she hears Spivak come up because she's in the middle of the woods trying to get reception.
yeah.
He's texting a helpline number, and it says, "Please send help."
No,
And
here's the thing. She texted Roman. And we know this because Roman gets the text later in the episode. And she was trying to say something about help, but her fingers were frozen. And when you get a close up on Roman's phone and this text that she sent, it says helmet smorgasbord. Or at least that's what I read. And I don't know what on earth that's gonna do.
I didn't see that, but helmet smorgasbord. And the thing is, like, he didn't say that dash Miranda.
No, because it wasn't from her phone. It was from a random number. So Roman literally gets a text from a random number that just says helmet smorgasbord.
Shut the fuck up. See, the reason why I thought it was a help crisis, like a police number or a help number that you could text, was because later at the very end of the episode,
Oh yeah.
that's why I thought a lot of it, everything was set up, which I still think was set up. But I mean, we'll get there. But she ends up giving the phone. Spivak takes the phone from her, and he sees that it says text sent, so he knows that she has contacted someone for help. And he gives the phone back to the guy.
Which is probably why what happens at the end happens, so that nobody can find that number. Yes. And trace it back to where they are.
And so he's also, there's a baby in the car with this family, this couple. And they he's, of course, Spivak's all over that fucking baby, like, weirdo.
Oh, that's why I knew it was Pearl, because he said to Miranda, he said, you know who would love to pinch this baby's cheeks? Pearl. I was like, oh.
Bitch.
So.
That's how you figure that was Pearl.
Yeah. But basically he says it as a threat, like, if you don't get it together, what's going to happen? What happened to Pearl? You're next. Which,
ironically, is very weird for the next scene that Spivak and Miranda have, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Now he gives the baby back to the family, and Miranda gets in. He tells Miranda to get in the truck and warm up, and that's the last where that scene ends.
Yeah.
Um, and it said, now, Roman and Destiny and Annie are still in the mortuary, looking around, and Peter and Annie are seeing that there's a thing of blood,
Roman.
and Roman and Annie see the tub of blood, and he's like, "Why do they have this here?" It's like, "Oh, they after they drain the bodies, they put the blood and then donate it to medical waste." And she was like, "So they pour a cup out of it and drink it," and then she was
And
like,
and here's the thing. Roman doesn't really notice that anything's wrong about it because he so far in his vampire life has really only lived off of Price's nutrient, which they keep cold. But Annie's like, this blood is cold. That doesn't make sense for a mortuary. So they go back upstairs to where Destiny is trying to like read these bodies. And Annie she lifts up the body and she shows the purple spotting on the back of the blood, like gravity taking the blood to the bottom of the body once it's done and she says once the heart stops pumping blood, it like sinks to the bottom.
which thanks to Bailey Sarian, I learned the word for that, and it's called validity. And that's when the blood pools, and it can tell how long you've been there and if you've been moved in a crime scene, because it chose to die.
Yes, because once your blood stops pumping, gravity moves, like will pull the liquid down. So,
Along with the other liquid inside your body.
well, yes, obviously, but that's why it's not all purple. Some of it's like yellow and stuff because it's bile and blood and acid and everything that's inside of you. But then she looks through and she finds another one that she finds one that says gunshot wound, and she opens it and shows that there isn't any blood in that body. And so she
And
says like,
real quick, the differences between, because for context reasons, the difference between these two bodies, the guy who had validity was an older male.
an older man who
And
died of renal and kidney failure, natural causes.
natural causes, and the other guy was like a younger, like 29 to like late 20s to early 30s guy, died of a gunshot wound.
Gunshot wound, yes. And so she was explaining that like somebody who dies from being sick, their blood is not like clean because they're sick. Especially something like renal failure, you're gonna have like chemicals like that seep into your blood from your like what's it called? What is that system that the pee comes out?
Urinary tract?
Yeah, but what is the name of the system in your body? Like there's the reproductive system.
That I thought it's the urinary system.
It might be the renal system, truthfully.
Oh, it could be. Hold on, let me search it up. I'm searching what renal failure is. Symptoms of kidney failure are due to buildup of waste
Oh,
products in excess
yeah,
of the
no, the
body.
urinary system or the renal system, both are correct. Okay.
So it's
So,
part of the urinary system because of the kidneys.
yeah. So the renal system and the urinary system are the same thing. But so kidney, like the buildup of whatever isn't being drained from your kidneys is obviously into your blood, which is why people who have kidney problems need to do dialysis to clean their blood. Anyway, so she was explaining that like the blood's not clean in someone who dies of renal failure, and the blood that was downstairs in the basement was she said it was some bottom shelf shit. And but the gunshot wound, the fresh young blood had been drained clean, and she said the mortician was Upir,
Mm-hmm.
which means that whatever attacked Roman and the mortician is specifically targeting Upier's. And Roman is having like a freak out because he doesn't understand how there was another Upier 5 miles from his house and he never knew.
Exactly. And after this scene, we go back to Andreas and Peter, and they are I think we skipped over the one scene where the tongue came in and tested the caviar to see if it was authentic or not.
I think this is
And
all one long scene. I think it happens here. Yeah.
uh, so they have this guy called the Tongue to see if this is authentic caviar. And he does, and he says that it is. And then they're all excited and like, woohoo. And then, what you call it? Andreas is like, oh yeah, I paid him off. I gave him 50K.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
Peter's like, what the fuck? Like, how did you know we were gonna pass? Like, that it was gonna be real? And he's like, because I paid him off because the Croats own him, but he fucking hates them, so he'll do anything to fuck them over. And Peter's basically like, you are wading into some shady territory. And Andreas is like, no, I'm doing this for destiny. Like, I'm doing this to make myself better. I'm gonna buy a flight of ice cream trucks to then also do shady shit from the ice cream trucks. And I was like,
Andreas. And like Peter was like, you almost made my cousin a widow tonight. And I was like, facts.
Andreas, once a gypsy, always a gypsy, apparently. Um,
Um, and after they have this little confrontation, like the boys get their money, and Peter's like, "Don't fucking do this shit anymore, Andreas, you dumbass." Peter leaves, and then we go to Olivia, and Price is in another scene this episode, and this is it. Olivia is treated by Price, and he's like giving her a bag of AB blood, and he's like,
he's
"Oh,
like,
you
I don't
probably
know, you probably just have a stomach bug, like you probably caught something, so like let's just rest in fluids, and then gives her a cup of like medical grade AB blood.
like, oh, it's just your everyday AB."
He's like, it's your everyday AB positive. Um, and Olivia takes a sip and then immediately starts retching, and she's like, what is wrong with, she was like, are you trying to poison me? And he was like, nah, bitch, it's just blood. And she was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And he was like, basically like, I don't know either, but it's fascinating and I can't wait to figure it out. So even Price has no idea what's going on with Olivia.
And this is my guess. Priscilla wasn't the cure,
Oh,
and she killed.
I think that it, yeah, I think that whatever that feeding on Priscilla, whatever it did, like,
Fucked her over.
not, yeah, is not really helpful. I've also seen an image of that is a spoiler of later in the season, like just a still frame image. I have no context. That really, really mentally messed me up. So then we go back to the mortuary, and
yes.
Annie tells Roman the story of basically how she turned. So she did not know she was Upir when she turned. She was married and had a family and a husband and a kid, and they got into a car accident, and she should have died, and her family did die, but instead of dying, that's when her transformation happened. And it's a really sad story, and like she's living with this pain. And I feel like it gives us a very clear example of how different people handle being au pair, like her story versus Olivia's story. Like I thought that was really like interesting juxtaposition. But this is when I also realized that like I understand Roman's kinship for her, but I still don't think I trust her.
That's fair.
Like
That's
I
fair.
like her character. She's interesting. I get why Roman feels this need to understand her, but I don't know enough to trust her yet.
That's true. Like I like her character. I think her character is one of the only characters that's been brought into Roman's life that's a woman that hasn't been a total throwaway character besides Destiny. So, like, I really think that this her character is going to be something important where they try to do that with Miranda, but she's just kind of an obstacle personally.
Right.
I fucking hate Miranda.
Then we go back to Spivak and Miranda, and Spivak is like, it's okay, I'm in a good mood, I don't hold any grudges, I forgive you.
He's like, I was a bit temperamental earlier. He's like, but we fixed something. I made my great concoction cocktail, wherever the hell he's working on in this basement.
But before he tells her about the concoction, he says something to her that is not in English, doesn't make any sense. And then he explains to her that that is Babylonian. This is where I freaked out. Because, again, this show is giving me a chance to be a giant Bible nerd and tell you guys all the information that I don't know why it's all here. But Babylon, the nation of Babylon, the ancient culture, is most specifically associated with the story from the Bible of the Tower of Babel, where basically in the story, all of the people on the planet spoke one language, Babylonian. And they decided that they were going to build a tower that was taller than God because they had all of the knowledge of all of the people together. And God decided that to thwart their plan to build this tower, he would basically disperse them into races and cultures. And this is where the idea of different languages begins. And he muddled their language so they could no longer all understand each other. So the idea that someone is speaking Babylonian is like super, super, super ancient biblical culture thing, which makes sense in everything we've done so far in this story. But also, speaking of the Tower of Babel and like ancient culture and ancient cultures and building structures in an episode that is discussing whether or not the first peoples on Earth were aliens, pissed me right the fuck off. And I wrote, this better not be the people in the Bible were really just aliens who built the pyramid Illuminati shit.
Which I had said, you spoke it into existence, and so it shall be. It's gonna happen. Do you really not think Hemlock Grove to bring any religious tie into any portion that is in the show? We haven't had any religion so far.
Yes, the whole show has been religion.
I meant like in the season so far. There's not been a lot of religious influence at all.
I was gonna say, you've got the whole show has been religion. Also the fact that his name is Ukrainian when we're dealing with Upir, which is and Romanian gypsies, and like everything is Eastern European culture, and then his name is Ukrainian, and then they've got this Illuminati Bible like alien shit. I'm just
It's okay.
But then
it's almost we have 8 more episodes.
But then, to make things even fucking worse, he decides he's going to show Miranda whatever he has been working on, and he takes her down to the basement, and she's screaming, and he's yelling at her and pushing her and throwing her down the stairs, basically. And then they get to some bright blue light, and he just pushes her, and then we never see them again.
Yeah. So only time will tell what that was. Also, Shelley did not come home because Olivia is knocking on the door and saying like, oh, like no, she comes inside and then she's like, Shelley, where are you? And then she's like, Shelley, this is not the time for games. And then she goes into Shelley's room and she's not there. So Shelley did not go home after.
But then we do see where Shelley went. They show Shelley arriving somewhere, and I am very confused as to why that is the place that Shelley chose to go. Because Shelley goes to the Godfrey Mill.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't go to Norman's office. She didn't go to Roman's house. She didn't go to the White Tower to find Price. When she couldn't succeed at killing herself, she goes to the mill. And I cannot imagine that this is going to turn out well.
I think she's going to try to jump.
I mean, if she was going to throw... But here's the thing, if she was going to throw herself off of something, the tower would be a way better choice.
If she went to the tower, Price would have told Olivia, or Price would have told Roman, and Price would have tried to stop her, and she knows that.
Unless she's going to try to use some of the defunct, like, mill machinery to, like, crush herself, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. But otherwise, it's not... anyways, it's not going to turn out well for anybody.
Now we're back at the mortuary.
Oh, good. I was going to say, I don't know what my next note is because it just says, oh, fuck. Oh, but yes, I do. So while Annie and Roman were having their heart-to-heart, Destiny figured out that whatever the attacker thing was still there. And he does attack Roman and Annie,
Yeah.
and then Destiny kills it.
With
But
like the blood extractor that they were using in the earlier scene, which is actually kind of funny.
yeah, so she kills it, but it did something to Roman, and he's like going into what appears to be some kind of like anaphylactic shock or like seizure or something. And then there's one final scene, and it confused me at first because it was just weird close-ups of people's faces that I didn't recognize, and it was like weird white light, and I was like, what the fuck is this? But it turns out that it was the family that had tried to help Miranda earlier, that has now been buried under, their entire car was buried under feet of snow, and they have frozen to death.
Including that baby.
Including the baby.
And they show us a nice little image of it with the light on it and everything. I'm like, you could not do that.
Yeah. And then the episode ends with some uncomfortably up. Ooh, sorry, my phone just started talking to me. With some uncomfortably upbeat music in the credits.
So that's how much work for you.
So yeah.
Who you want to punch this week, Mary Kate?
Spivak. Definitely.
Yeah, Spivak is who I obviously would want to punch. Olivia could also catch a...
Yeah, Olivia could catch these hands too, but Spivak, first of all, not only do I want to punch him for what he did and said and how creepy he was, also I really just want to like cut all of his hair off and give him a new out wardrobe and that fucking pedo stash. Like I just want to punch him for existing.
He looks like if we ever got to see what Rose Nyland's husband looked like when he was really depressed.
Yeah, it was not cute.
No.
Also, he called Miranda his wife, and if I was that couple, I would have been immediately sus.
I've been like, what, did you marry her when she was 12?
Yeah.
You gross ass old man.
Right.
Lizard man.
Ugh.
Who is your saving grace this week?
Vlad.
Vlad.
I love him.
I really loved Vlad, but I know it's gonna be weird, but I really liked Annie's character. She was something new, something interesting. I thought she was able to bring a lot to the table. I hope that her character doesn't make me backtrack any of the things I am saying right now. You better keep up this thing that I won't be mad if it's that she is turned out to be double crossed in an interesting way.
Right.
Because her character is still interesting.
Yeah.
So characterial wise, I really like Annie. I think she is a nice change to the dynamic of women that have been a part of their little...
That's true, because so far all of the women in this show, not all of the women, Destiny, Linda, and Olivia obviously can hold their own.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the other women in the show have been either portrayed as very, very unintelligent or very helpless. Like, all the girls who get murdered in the first season are clearly like not portrayed very well. Christina ends up being the bad guy because she has a crush on someone who doesn't like her back. Like, that's horrible, like, character development. Letha is pathetic.
Yep. And Miranda's just fucking dumb bitch.
Like, Marie, as much as her personality is not really pathetic, to put up with all the shit that she's put up with in her life and then just, like, go out for nothing, like, it comes off as really weak. Like, Shelley is treated so, like, she's so weak. Like, she's not, but she's treated like she's so weak.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda's useless.
Literally.
Priscilla was all of the things that Shelley was, only more fragile because she wasn't even really a person. Mm-hmm. Like,
but because Priscilla had potential.
Yeah.
To become something big, but.
And then there's Dr. Chernobyl, who was neither weak nor pathetic, but was just pure evil with no good intention. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see where they take Annie.
Okay. I wouldn't be mad if her character was a little bit on the double cross side, because it'd be something interesting because they like are portraying, they're at least making her character be blended in enough where it's like, I don't trust you yet, but you don't give me any reason for concern right now, you know?
Right. But it's also they're giving her a compelling backstory. They're giving enough mystery that we care what she's doing. Like, I literally don't care what Miranda's backstory is.
Yeah, me neither.
I never did.
Oh, her father was in the war.
Right. Great. Cool.
But that was Hemlock Grove episode 2, season 3. 8 episodes left of watching this, then 2 episodes of hearing us complain about it, and then on to brighter and better things over here at Death and Aliens, and I swear you guys will love every second of what's coming up.
I sure hope so, because let me tell you, this is officially our 30th episode of
We've been
Hemlock
doing
Grove.
this we're going to be doing this for a year in what? June?
July. In July it'll hit a year. But so 30 episodes, that is more than halfway through the year. That is about, most podcasts never make it past 3 episodes. And here we are 10 times past that, only it's still terrible.
Yep. I feel like I'm excited to see what I at the end of every episode from here on out, I will be talking about how we will be starting new stuff soon.
Just to give us some hope to cling to.
Yeah, I honestly think that, like, I know if you're not, I think for us to start a podcast on something that no one knows about, or there's a very niche crowd of people that know what we're talking about, is a little bit of a hard thing to do. But I think our one thing that we're doing after this will definitely hit a lot of people.
And I think that it's okay to be niche, if it's good.
Yeah. Well, Mary Kate, let's take a moment to look in the mirror and go, we love Twilight. So we can't say shit. Like, we love the movies. Like, yeah, we love the books, but we also love the movies.
No, but no, but how bad does something have to be that people who love Twilight don't even like it?
That is true.
I mean, okay, to be fair, am I going to rewatch all of Hemlock Grove at some point when I'm not trying to analyze it? Yes.
Oh, you will? I won't. I'm not going to touch this shit with a 10-foot pole once we're done with it.
Yeah, I will.
But like, that's literally it.
I think it's funny. I just don't think it is coherent.
And that's the thing, is that, like, if I were to sit and watch this the first time all the way through without looking deeply into every little thing,
that's the thing, is I think I want to rewatch it when I'm not taking copious notes, just to see if I like it better when I'm not
like
overthinking about it. Like, I want to like watch it wine drunk when I'm falling asleep at night and like see if it doesn't suck as much.
That's fair. That's very fair.
But probably I'll wait like a good like 2 or 3 years before I do that, just so that I'm not, because I would need to forget this entire notebook full of shit.
Burn it.
I was thinking about selling it on eBay. Just kidding.
Oh my god, no, save it and then sign it, and then we'll become really famous. Put it up on eBay. Also, everyone, we're gonna have our weekly boo hello.
Oh.
He was very grumpy. I didn't sleep at home one night this week. I went and stayed at Cody's house, and he was very mad at me.
Yeah.
He's still giving me some sass. So I'm trying to like overly love him to let him know that I won't abandon him, but like I will not sleep here sometimes.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
Well, on that note, you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Death and Aliens. which you should do because we post daily and they're usually really funny, and I work really hard on the shit that we post. So,
I'm very, very good at putting the edits together. I really do love them.
oh my gosh, honestly, it's more fun than watching the show. Um, you can also email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can follow me at EMKAY_superstar.
On Instagram and Twitter, correct?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really follow people on other things. I mean, other than SoundCloud, I guess, but like I don't do that.
True. You can follow me on Instagram at monica.lynn_ and on Twitter at mon_lynn_. And with that, we will see y'all next week.